Today we're gonna make a steak sandwich. Not an ordinary steak sandwich, the best one and a really easy one too. Here are all the ingredients. Let's get into it right now. So I always like to go over the ingredients. It helps me, but it's more important to help you with this. So mise en place is what you want to do. You want to just get everything set up. Multiple components to this sandwich, but they're all very easy. One of the components is a chipotle mayo. So I have chipotles right here. This is a can of Goya. There's a couple other brands, you could buy them. When we mix it, we're gonna test it. Sometimes I'll get a can and they'll be super spicy. Other times they'll be like no spice at all. But we'll start with a couple of them and we will mix that with 1 cup of mayo and a 1/4 cup of sour cream. Season with a little salt and pepper, and that's it. That's one component of our recipe. Another component of our recipe are caramelized onions. We're actually gonna start with those first because they take the longest. The recipe says 3 large red onions. These aren't quite a large onion. I would call these like a medium onion. So I have 4 of them here. We just want enough to get our whole entire sandwich filled. If you have extra, just save them for another purpose. They're great for plenty of things besides sandwiches. We'll start with those first because they take about 45 minutes to an hour. Then we have the steak here. I'm using skirt steak. You can use other cuts of steak, but I love skirt steak on a steak sandwich. This is just choice, okay? It's not prime. And you can get this at Costco for about $12 a pound. So that's a pretty good deal. You only need 1.5 pounds of this, and this will be enough to serve 4 nice-sized sandwiches. We're gonna sear that up. We will cut it against a grain. That's very important, so you can tear it properly when you're eating the sandwich. And that leads me into the bread that you're gonna use. I recommend you use a sturdy bread for this. On the website, the recipe uses this whole entire baguette here. It makes it easy for assembly. You can lay everything out. You could also use a ciabatta roll. I'll probably use half a baguette today and 2 of these ciabatta rolls. But this 1.5 pounds of beef is gonna give you 4 nice sized sandwiches. Final thing is arugula. If you hate greens, you say, Jim, what the heck are you doing here with greens? Just omit them. That's all you have to do. But I like what it does to really tie everything together. Thank you, Tara, for pointing out the actual real last ingredient, which is provolone cheese. You don't like provolone? Use Swiss, use Munster, mozzarella. Everything's sliced. It makes it easy. Go to the deli counter, get it sliced. I'm using a 1/2 pound here. We might not need it all. All right, let's get into the onions right now. Get a sharp knife, sharpen your knife if you want to. Take paper or this should stop on a dime on your nail. Okay, if this knife is sliding here on your thumb, that's not good. You don't want that. You could also just cut this on paper to test it too. All right, I just want to cut these onions root to stem. So right here like this. Take the skin off and one layer of the onion. So what I mean, yeah, root to stem like this. So it's like you're going straight. So your pieces will be like this and your eyes will start watering very quickly. Cut up the other 3 if you have mediums. If you have really large ones, just do 3. My eyes are still recovering. Just turn this up to like medium, a little bit more than medium. I'm just putting olive oil in here. Just coat the bottom with a couple tablespoons. And then our onions. So listen, you can turn the heat up even more, like go to like medium high, maybe even a touch higher. Just put water in there, like a 1/2 cup, 3/4 cup. I'm gonna put a little bit more. Okay, don't worry about the exact amounts. It doesn't really matter. Pinch of salt too, okay? That's just gonna help the onions cook, release their water more. And then get a spoon and just try to coat everything a little bit. This is gonna speed up our onions tremendously. If you have like 10 lids like I do, make sure you use the lid that doesn't have a hole in it, okay? See this lid has a hole in it right here? It kind of defeats the purpose of a lid because it's gonna let the moisture out. I don't want the moisture to come out because if my moisture all leaves, then the onions are gonna start burning. By making this medium high or even higher, I'm gonna turn this even higher, this is gonna soften our onions and speed up the process versus if we just try to caramelize at a lower temperature right from the get-go. It's gonna save you about 20 minutes on the process. In about 10 to 15 minutes, we'll check these, and at that point, we'll start cooking uncovered. For now, move your stove out of the way. When I made this the other day for the website, I didn't have the Goya ones. I had La Costina. Now, the La Cocina had barely any spice to them, like none. There's like not really a lot of adobo sauce. So they're gonna be different depending on what brand you have. So what I did with this one the other day is I had to use chipotle powder that I have to get the spice level up because there just wasn't any spice. For the Goya ones, let's start with 2 of them. These are a lot bigger. Ooh, these look good. See, I'll show you, like these are like, you know, see the difference? And I'm just gonna cut one.
The reason you have to taste test these is because Chipotles can run anywhere from 2,500 to 10,000 on the Scoville. So you can have one super mild one and you can have one super spicy one.
Yeah, and there's no way for them to control this either.
Chipotles are just smoked jalapeno.
That's all they are. And then they put them in the adobo sauce.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna chop this up like this. You could also just, you know, you could put this in a blender, but there's no need to. Just make sure it's like really smushed. That's it. You know, you can take the back of your knife, just go like this. All right, so here's mayo. There's our 1/4 cup of sour cream. And then put in the chipotles, okay? So I just started with 2 right here. Take some of the sauce too, and just put it in there. A couple tablespoons of it. Just mix this together, and then we're gonna taste test it. And then if it's not spicy enough, we're gonna just add another chipotle or 1/2 a chipotle at a time. Onions are fine. Keep checking them. Give this a little taste. Needs another chipotle. Spice is good now, a little salt, and that should do it. And then that's gonna be our consistency like this. We have a lot here. You're not gonna need all this. You're probably gonna need less than half of it for the sandwich, but it's awesome to serve it on the side. So I always like to make extra. Let's just take this off. You can see how most of the water here is evaporated, even with our tight fitting lid. So that's why I want you to check it around that point. Just turn it down now. Turn it to like medium heat. No burning happened because we put enough water in there, but we definitely softened these up a lot. Now, this would take a shorter amount of time if you had a 14-inch pan or if you had a griddle, like a Blackstone griddle. If you could get these all spread out completely, you know, like it'll cut your time in half, but we'll be all right. I'm going to saute these and I'm gonna keep my heat about medium, but I'm gonna control things. If I start to burn, I can add a splash of water. I can lower my heat a little bit. You wanna get these caramelized. They're gonna turn a completely different color, all right? This is another, what would you say, another 40 minutes, Tara, about?
Yeah.
So this is how they look now. And you can see how little amount I have now. Remember, this pan was filled, completely filled. I didn't take any out. I didn't do any sleight of hand or anything like that. You could just saute these if you want to. You don't have to do this, okay? But I'll tell you, when you do this to this point, they're super sweet now already, so we're good. I'm gonna turn these off. All right, I'm gonna take these off to the side, and we're gonna do our steak. Okay, at this time, set your oven for 450 degrees, because that's where we're gonna finish, you know, the whole entire sandwich. So we're gonna sear this in this pan right here, but because of how big a skirt steak is, you have to cut it. You know, during the summer, do this outside. It will 100% be better if you sear this on your charcoal grill than doing this inside. So I wanna cut these into pieces that will fit into my 14-inch cast iron pan. All right, so this one right here can be cut in half, like so. And then this thing, we're probably gonna have to cut into 3 pieces. Out there. I gotta stop this. This thing's like, look at this. What is that? Just stop it quickly. Just take a rag, like your wet rag or any clean or dirty rag. It doesn't matter. It's on the bottom, okay? And just like this. So it'll just get a little friction so it won't move so much. We don't want to even salt and pepper it right now, even for 5 minutes prior, which it will start wicking, and then you won't get as good a sear as you can. You know, if you got a really hot grill, it doesn't even matter. It's gonna be so hot that even if it's a little wet, it will still sear perfectly, but that's not gonna happen indoors in your pan. Plus, you'll be setting off your smoke alarm and everything. Okay, 14-inch cast iron I have. Whatever size you use, if you only have a little one, cut the meat smaller then. You might have to do 2 batches. Doesn't matter, it's fine. It's fine if you do 2 batches. I'm gonna heat this up to almost high, like a little touch less than high. Let's let this heat up for about 3 to 5 minutes before we sear the beef. You can see we're really smoking up already. This is seasoned fairly well, but I'm still gonna put a little bit of avocado oil. Use like a high smoke point neutral oil, and then we're ready to go here. So here's my steak. Pat it dry again if you have to, And then we're gonna season it well with salt and pepper on both sides. So I have about 1.75 pounds of beef. So I wanna do a 1.5% salt ratio to this. 1.5 times 454, that's about 700 grams. 700 grams, 1% of 700 grams is 10 grams of sodium, okay? Which is about 1 tablespoon of Diamond Crystal Kosher salt. Okay, that is smoking hot. A little bit more of the avocado oil. Take a couple paper towels, just spread it around to get it all over the place. And then here's the beef, okay? And I'm not gonna be able to fit it all, so I'm gonna do 2 batches, okay? It's only gonna take about 2 minutes per side. There's the smoke alarm. Actually, no, that's the oven. But the smoke alarm will follow soon. Okay, and then I'm just gonna turn it over. This is my hottest point, the middle of there, so I can push that one off to the side and then take my other one that didn't get as good, and then like that. So I'm trying to move them right towards the middle, the hottest point. Okay, so 2 minutes per side, that's all I did. You can take your finger here, just go like this. See how very soft that is? So this is like rare right now, okay, rare. If you don't trust your finger, just, you know, get one of these things, these instant read thermometers, they'll help you. And if I put that in the middle, I'm about 116 degrees right now. I'm gonna take it out, okay? We're good. Okay, put them off right here to this cutting board. A little bit of foil to tent it. If you have any liquid in here, just pat it dry and then go for the second batch. See how these are wicking right now, right away? See all that wetness? It's not gonna sear well. Pat it off some of it, some of the salt and pepper, but I prefer to do that to get a better sear. I need a little bit more oil in the middle there. That's looking nice. See that? How beautiful that is, right? See this? Listen, if I can do this on a portable stove in front of you, you can do this on your regular stove. All right, 100%. Just gotta regulate your heat. Another 2 minutes. We'll pop it off to the side. We're gonna rest these and we will assemble the most delicious sandwich you've ever had. Okay, so I have the bread. I'm only gonna do half of this. Now in the recipe itself, the print recipe, I used a whole baguette. I'm only gonna use a half here. Okay, so I'll use that much. I wanna cut this thing completely down the middle. The bottom half right here is where we wanna put our sauce on. Now you can leave the other half next to it, and then here's our bottoms here, and then these are our tops, okay? So let's put the sauce on the bottom only. And just like take your time, get a nice layer everywhere. Same thing for our little ciabatta rolls. For the tops, I'm just gonna use a little bit of olive oil, and I'm just going to just lightly brush it on, just a little bit. This is just gonna help us get a little bit of a toastiness to the tops. Now you could also use melted butter too, like softened butter. That would work great too. You don't need a lot, you just need a tiny bit. Just set this off to the side for a second. Let's carve that steak. The way skirt steak is always, and restaurants will always serve you a whole skirt steak, long way. They don't tell you how to cut it, and you'll just like, you know, if you go there your first time ever having a skirt steak, you'll go like this. So like right here, every cut you take, the grain goes this way. So if you're just cutting this way, you're gonna be giving yourself an untender piece because the fibers need to be cut crossway so the steak will tear. And I'll show you in a second when I cut it. So what we wanna do is we wanna turn this into even smaller pieces now, and we will cut it against the grain. Okay, I have a slicer here that I sharpened today. This is a great tool to have. They're inexpensive. This is, what was the name brand of this one, Tara?
Victorinox.
Victorinox. So this knife is like, I think it's about $40. I'm gonna link it. If you don't wanna buy this one, go to the store, buy one. They're not expensive. You could get ones for even cheaper than this. They have a little bit of bend to them, okay, like this. This is a 12-inch. It's perfect for like a prime rib or something. And I sharpened it, so it's super sharp. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna cut it this way. And then now the grain is running this way. I wanna cut perpendicular to it, but I'm also gonna cut on a bias. Now see how sharp this knife is? So like, this is what I want. I want pieces like this, okay?
It's like you're shredding it.
Yeah, and I was cutting like this. Now look, these pieces, what it means is, when I'm talking about against the grain, see these pieces now? Like this will rip apart. Delicious. Biting in a steak sandwich is super important. If you don't cut it right, you're not gonna have the best experience that you can. Don't worry if your steak's getting cold now either. We're gonna heat it up again. Okay, and our steak is cooked perfectly if you like it on the rare side, which that is. There you go. Look at that. So good. We have our bottom sauce. This is what we want. Now we're just gonna pile it on. Now look, ideally, you're gonna wanna go, see like this. So now the fibers are still going this way. So when you bite it, you're not gonna be in a tearing motion. So ideally, you still wanna be like this on it. So when you're biting, it's tearing it. But it looks better the other way. So you do, you know, you kind of do it the way you like. I just kind of let it go and I just start piling it on there and see, like I just tear that like that, okay? It's the way it's cut. All right, so that one looks pretty good there. I'm just gonna pile some on this one. The onions and the cheese, I would do it in that order. I would do your onions. The cheese melting will kind of lock it in so they don't really fall off too much, but you can go the other way. It will look better the other way if you see the onions on top. So, you know, looks are important. These onions are so sweet now, and they actually complement the spiciness of the chipotle really well. I don't want to like go overboard with any one ingredient. It won't get better if you add too many onions. That's how many onions I have left, which isn't too much. Okay, provolone cheese. This is just deli-sliced, and I'm gonna go probably, I think we should probably double that up, right, Tara? Or
Yeah.
not? Yeah.
Why not?
I used almost a full half a pound too. All right, so these ratios are pretty good. All you have to do now, 450-degree oven, 3 to 5 minutes. We just want the cheese to melt and we want the bread to get a little toasty. That's it. Why am I even putting the other slice of bread in? Because if I didn't, then the bottom would be hot and the top would be cold, which we don't want. So they both need to warm up. All right, we'll be back in 3 to 5. This was a messy one today. Did you hear the smoke alarms going off?
Yeah, I did.
You did. You're gonna have an easier time if you're doing this on a stove with an exhaust vent. But enough excuses. We got it done. James, which one would you like? You have your pick.
Okay, so in between this one and this one right here.
So baguette, and then the other thing is ciabatta from Costco. Well, I'm gonna have the other one. Go ahead.
I'm giving this a 10. I love all the flavors together. Like the steak, you would think it would have to be marinated, but it doesn't because of the onions. Then there's the sauce too. Sauce is great. The arugula gives it like nice touch, like a little bit of like crunch. Yeah, I would definitely give this a 10. The ciabatta is really good on it.
Ciabatta is good. So the recipe is with the baguette. I actually kind of like the ciabatta even more. These ciabatta rolls are from Costco. You get like 30 of them. What about the steak? I made it pretty rare. Would you like it cooked a little bit more?
I like it like this.
Okay.
I like steak like medium rare.
Yeah.
Rare.
Could it be spicier? The sauce maybe? I think it could be.
I think it could be too.
Because the onions are very sweet. So it's like you need like those contrasts there.
It depends how you like the sandwich. I think it's good like this, but I would understand if some people said the sauce could be a little spicier.
So adjust that to your taste. I hope you make it. And if you can do this on the grill, the steak, I think it would be a heck of a lot like simpler. Thanks, James.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
This is so good.
See you next time.